Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It's April 26, 2023, and this is the post-match analysis, live stream analysis that Barca News are not doing. Every time there's a match ends, you will find me here on the live stream to do the post-match analysis. And that's, of course, aside from your regular schedule live streams, which are on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time. But since today there was a match, I'm not going to be doing the 7 p.m. live stream. I'm only going to be doing this post-match analysis live stream. So welcome again to the post-match analysis live stream as the match between Barcelona and Rayo Vallecano just ended. Thank you for those of you who were waiting for this live stream to begin. I apologize for the delay. I had a little bit of problem with my camera, but it's now fixed. So thank you for those of you who waited. Thank you guys who are currently watching, and thank you to you guys who will be watching after the live stream ends. And I see already plenty of people in the chat. Hello, everyone. We'll do it like usual. We'll talk a little bit about the match, and then we'll hit to the chat to get a discussion going. But let's start with the match between Barcelona and Rayo Vallecano. Horrible match. We lost 2-1 in Rayo Vallecano Stadium in Vallecas. This was Barcelona's chance to increase their lead over Real Madrid from 11 to 14 points after Real Madrid lost against Girona 4-2 yesterday. And once again, we blew our chance to increase our lead. This is the third time that Barcelona do this. We had a chance to increase our lead from 7 to 10 points several weeks ago, and we lost against Almeria. Then Villarreal beat Real Madrid, and we had the chance to increase our lead from 12 to 15 points. We also blew that, and now we had a chance of increase our lead from 11 to 14 points. And once again, Barcelona blew this opportunity. Very disappointing performance. We're still first at the top of the Liga. We're still 11 points ahead of Real Madrid with 7 matches left. But nonetheless, today's performance was absolutely unacceptable. Even if Barcelona had won this match, I still would have been here very disappointed, because the way the team played, it was just simply embarrassing. It was pathetic. It looked like a bottom of the table team. And I tell you, this team is not ready for European competitions. If Barcelona had performed like today against a European giant like Bayern, like PSG, like Manchester City, I mean, I'm telling you, this would have been another embarrassment, probably 5-6, maybe even 7-0. It was an absolute disaster on the field. Very disappointing, very embarrassing performance by the entire team. Now, let's start real quick with the lineup. We had Ter Stegen on goal. There was a little bit of scare with Ter Stegen. Apparently, he felt some discomfort during the warm-ups. So they had to bring the medical staff on, and they had to take him into the locker room. And it seemed that Iñaki Peña was going to come in his place, but then Ter Stegen recovered from that, and he was brought onto the field. He is 2 matches away from breaking the European record of most clean sheets in a season. And of course, today he wasn't able to keep a clean sheet, and Rayo Vallecano were able to score 2 goals and even had chances to score a lot more. We had Jules Koundé in the right back position, with Araujo and Marcos Alonso in the center back positions, with Alejandro Balde on the left back. In the midfield, given that Sergio Busquets was suspended after receiving his 5th yellow card, we saw Frankie de Jong in that pivot position, surrounded by Gavi and Pedri in the interiors. And then our attacking line was Rafinha, Lewandowski, and Ferran Torres. Now, I don't want to talk about individual players because, again, this was an embarrassing and pathetic performance by the entire team. I don't think there's a single player that you can point at and say that guy did his job or that guy had a good match. Everybody on the field performed horribly. Very embarrassing. Barcelona could not complete a single pass. They couldn't complete short passes. They couldn't complete long passes. They were losing the ball left and right. They were making the silliest and rookiest mistakes I've ever seen. This was probably one of the worst first halves that I've seen Barcelona perform during the entire season, which is absolutely unacceptable, because Barcelona need to be focusing on wrapping up La Liga title. I don't know if they think that they have already won the league. They haven't. There's still a chance for Real Madrid to catch up. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, But nonetheless, the team seems like they're playing like they already won La Liga, and they're just having fun on the field. Now, when I say everybody did terrible, even your usual players who perform really well did not perform good. Araujo had a horrible match. He was constantly losing the ball with those ridiculous long passes that wouldn't even land close to his teammates. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Balde constantly losing the ball on the left flank when he was attacking. Frankie de Jong losing the balls in critical areas. In fact, the second goal was his fault. Pedri I don't know what Pedri was doing, constantly losing the ball as well. Couldn't dribble past anyone. Gabi was all over the field, just kicking players, not doing anything else. The whole team was absolutely disappointing. Ferran Torres, I honestly forgot Ferran Torres was on the field until one of the commentators mentioned his name. I don't think that guy touched the ball once. Complete disaster of the first half. And the team did improve after the second goal of Rayo Vallecano, but by then it was too late. And even though the team did improve with Xavi's substitutions, where he brought Jordi Alba to play in the left back and had both Araujo and Kunde as the center backs, and then we had Balde play on the right back position. We also had Eric come in for Frankie, Kessi for Pedri, and I think with those substitutions, the team did improve a little bit. They started passing the ball much better. They started moving the ball a little bit better. But nonetheless, it was back to our original problems from before, where whenever the team had the ball, they simply didn't know what to do with it. It was just passing the ball without any purpose, and then eventually just sending a cross into the box, hoping somebody would head it in. Absolute terrible performance, very embarrassing. Not to take away from Rayo Vallecano's performance. Rayo Vallecano, I think they were tactically much more superior to Barcelona. They knew how to defend. They knew how to counterattack. And Vallecas has become a difficult field during this season. They actually beat Real Madrid 3-2 in their field. So this is a team that is performing well. So I don't want to take away from their performance. They still had a pretty good match, but nonetheless, completely unacceptable from Barcelona, who were very, very embarrassing on the field. I was actually embarrassed for them. So let's head to the comment section or the chat. Let's see what you guys think of this match, and then we'll talk about a few more things that I want to address. But let's see what you guys are saying. The chat is blowing up. We have 9 likes, guys. Hit that like button. Let's get it up. Helps a lot with this channel, so so the algorithm can recommend this video. And also, don't forget to subscribe. But let's see what you guys are saying. Relax with Jamal says, who's at fault of this match? Everybody, the players, Xavi, everybody. But we'll talk a little bit more about Xavi. Emil had everyone was at fault of this one. I agree. Mark says just a sad game. Chuchu said, what did I tell you, Mo? To put in context, Chuchu said that Barcelona was going to blow this lead. Not really something to celebrate, Chuchu, that you were right about this. I wouldn't say it's something to be proud of, to say, hey, I told you so, that that you were rooting for your team to lose. Klaus says, I still love Barcelona and trust Xavi. I do too, but today was absolutely unacceptable, the performance that they had. Emil says this match was simply a waste of time. It was at Camp Nou. The players such stand outside and give every single person they came their money back. I agree. Very embarrassing. I can't believe what I saw. Paul says, hi, Mo. How you doing? What's up, Paul? What's up, Lincoln? He says, my question today is how much we can get in sales for these players' total failure today. I don't think today's failure necessarily affects their value. When players are valued, they're valued more about their overall season performance rather than this match performance. But that's a good question. I mean, we'll see. All right. Relax with Jamal says, seriously, Lewandowski needs to be benched. Lewandowski was not the problem, even though he didn't have necessarily a great match. He did score Barcelona's only goal. He's not the problem. The whole team was the problem. Nobody could complete a pass. Nobody could complete a play. I mean, the whole team was just awful. Benching Lewandowski wouldn't have made a single difference. For center back says tactical blunder by Xavi. No for midfield, changing the system in this crucial game. I don't think Xavi changed the system. He used his regular 4-3-3, which Barcelona always played with. I think the problem is, and this is a good segue to what I wanted to talk about, and then we'll get back to the comment section, is that I've said this before in a previous live stream, and I said that a lot of people like to talk shit about Busquets, and they always like to blame Busquets for everything. And I said that, we definitely missed Messi when he left, but we're going to miss Busquets a lot more than what we miss Messi, because there's nobody in the world that can do what Busquets can do. He's the best pivot in the history of the club. probably one of the best pivots in the history of football, period. And the Barcelona system heavily depends on someone on a good pivot. And I've said that before, but people always, again, like to talk shit about Busquets. They like to blame him for everything. And today's match was a clear example of how much Barcelona is going to miss Busquets when he leaves, because the midfield was absolutely atrocious. And that's because main reason was Busquets was not there. Busquets is the anchor of the team. When Busquets is on the field, he knows how to hold the midfield. He knows how to distribute the ball. And him not being there, we saw that the midfield was completely porous. Rayo Vallecano was sneaking through our midfield like there was no tomorrow. And that was a clear indication of how much we're going to miss Busquets. Now, Busquets, because of his age now, he does struggle of tracking back to his area whenever Barcelona's lines are advanced and the other team mounts a counterattack. He does struggle there because he has gotten slower with age. But nonetheless, when he's standing in front of the ball, Busquets is an absolute wall in the midfield. He doesn't let anyone through. He knows how to slow down the pace of the match. He knows how to impose control of the midfield. He knows how to hold the midfield. And most importantly, he knows how to distribute the ball. And there's nobody on the field that knows how to do that as good as him. And today was a clear indication. You know, when Pedri and Frankie were injured, we missed them because Frankie and Pedri give you that attacking edge. You know, Frankie knows how to break lines with the ball and with his passing. Pedri knows how to do the same thing, knows how to make those runs to the box and give the ball to Lewandowski or to the other forwards. So when we didn't have those two, we were missing that attacking edge. But defensively speaking, we were solid. We weren't winning matches like against Girona and Getafe, but we weren't losing them either because we had Busquets, who knows how to hold the midfield. But now you take out Busquets out of the equation, and yes, you do have that attacking edge with Pedri and Frankie de Jong, but guess what? There's nobody to hold the midfield, and when you have nobody to hold the midfield, the other team just has a day, you know, just attacking. That's exactly what happened today. So next time you don't want to talk shit about Busquets, say he's old, we need to sell him, just remember this, that without Busquets, our midfield is an absolute disaster, and today was a perfect example of that. And I don't know what we're going to do when Busquets leaves. We're going to have to find a good replacement because so far nobody on this squad knows what to do, how to do what Busquets does. All right, let's get back to the comment section or the chat. And Chuchu says Lewandowski has been horrible to say the least. Again, not completely his fault. If the attackers can't get the ball to Lewandowski, then that becomes a problem. And we see that a lot with this team because this team's attack is simply not working. And we see Lewandowski constantly having to run to the midfield to get the ball. And that he should not be doing this. He's a center forward. He's supposed to be waiting for the ball in the box, but there's nobody to get him the ball in the box. So he has to track all the way back to the midfield to get the ball. And when you do that, then that cancels out the whole reason of having Lewandowski on the squad to begin with. Because if your center forward is all the way in the midfield, then who are you going to give the ball to? There's nobody to give the ball to. And that's a big problem with what's going on with Lewandowski, is that there's nobody that can get him the ball. And that's a big problem. I mean, this team is just not it. They're not cutting out. And there's no way we can compete in Europe next season. We're not at that level yet. We're far from it. And today was a perfect example. Okay, Klaus says Arteta was given a good amount of time. Xabi deserves the same. I agree. Again, I am upset about the result of the match today. I think Xabi was part of it was also Xabi's fault as far as tactically speaking, because we've noticed that when Xabi's back against the wall, he doesn't know how to adjust to the actual situation. Like if the match doesn't go his way, he doesn't know how to respond and adjust to what's going on. But that's just lack of experience. But regardless, I wouldn't be calling, for the head of Xabi. I wouldn't say we should fire Xabi because of today's performance. I said this at the beginning of the season, and I'll continue saying it. This is a brand new project. It's a new coach. It's new players. It's gotta take time. Yes, I agree. Xabi does deserve the time, but nonetheless, that won't stop me from being disappointed with the team because their performance today was an absolute embarrassment. Okay. Chuchu says Araujo can't pass correctly to save his life, like Jesus Christ. I agree. I don't know what's going on with Araujo today. His long passes were horrendous. Klaus says, what do you think is the solution? That's a good question because There's a lot of parts to this answer. First of all, we need an overhaul of our attack. Ansu, Ferran, Rafinha, they're not cutting it. They all need to go. We need better wingers. That's your number one thing that the club should focus on. Because if there's nobody to get the ball to Lewandowski, then what's the point of having Lewandowski on the squad? Second of all, in the midfield, we need to find a replacement for Busquets that can do as good of a job as him, which so far there aren't anyone on the squad, because we need a good pivot. And we also need more creativity in our midfield. So we need a more creative interior, someone like Bernardo Silva, which of course, impossible for Barcelona to afford. But they are talking about Ilkay Gundogan. I think Ilkay Gundogan might be able to give us that creativity that we're very lacking in the midfield. Our defense has proven to be strong. No complaints there, except for the right back position. And I think today was the perfect example of why Barcelona should invest on the right back position, because right now we don't have anybody who's a specialist in that position. Yes, we do have Jules Koundé, and yes, Koundé does do a great job in that right back position, but nonetheless, that is not his main position. That is not his forte. So when you're playing someone in a position that's not their best, they're not going to be as good as they are in their natural position. And Koundé's position is a center back. So when you have him playing the right back, you are wasting his talent. And we saw that as soon as Xavi made that switch where he took out Marcos Alonso and brought in Jordi Alba. So Jordi moved on to the left, Balde went to the right, and then Koundé and Araujo started playing in the center back position. And all of a sudden, our defense got a lot better, because the starting center back duo should be Araujo and Koundé. Those are the two best center backs on the team, probably some of the two best center backs in the whole world. And the two of them should be playing in a center back position together. So we need someone to play in the right back position, because even though Koundé is good at that position, that's not his best, and you are wasting his skills and talents having Koundé play in the right back. So I think Barcelona should definitely invest in someone on the right back, and also we do need a substitute for Lewandowski. You can't have Lewandowski play every 90 minutes of every single match. So I think that's some of the solutions that we need: is invest in better wingers, get a substitute for Lewandowski, get a replacement for Busquets, get a creative interior in the midfield, and get someone for the right back position. Those are the 5 things that I would invest in this summer. But again, our hands are tied given the economy. So we'll see what Barcelona will do. Sorry for the long answer, but it's a complicated question. But let's get back to the chat, and then I will mention a couple more things, and then we'll continue with the discussion. Chuchu says De Jong and Balde played okay. I don't think anybody played okay. Everybody was horrible. Yeah, Ferran didn't touch the ball. He did it. Like I said, I forgot Ferran was on the field until one of the commentators mentioned his names. And I was like, oh, yeah, that guy's still playing, huh? Okay. Sintu says Alonso, why he's playing, because Xabi, in his system, he likes left-footed center backs. And there are no left-footed center backs on the team. So except for Alonso, that's why Alonso played. I don't think he did a horrible job. He didn't do a great job either. But when he got subbed out and we saw Koundé come in his place, the team did improve. But I mean, that's just because Koundé is that much better. But I wouldn't blame Alonso. I think we gotta stop falling in the same trap where whenever the team underperforms, a lot of people want to find the reason instead of doing, an actual analysis or critical thinking of what went wrong. We just want to scapegoat. So we're like, oh, let's see, who can I blame? Alonso. There. The team sucked because Alonso. Oh, no, Lewandowski. And the answer is a lot more complex than that, than just finding someone to point at and say it was their fault. So I wouldn't blame this on Alonso. Again, this was a whole team effort. The whole team sucked. The whole team played horribly. They couldn't associate together. It was like 11 different individuals. Even Ter Stegen, who's a superb goalkeeper, some of his passing was just absolutely horrendous. So the whole team is to blame here, not just one or the other player. It's not Alonso's fault alone. It's not Lewandowski's fault alone. Everybody messed up today, and it was a horrible, horrible performance. All right. Nasser says, I am shocked. Xabi is definitely the source of the issue. He's tactically not the man. Again, the answer is a lot more complex than that. It's not about just pointing fingers, saying, is this guy, that guy. Everybody failed today. And yeah. Okay, one more, and then we keep this going. Chucho says Barcelona needs to get an Amrabat or get Nico back to the team to learn from Boozy. Nico's not coming back. He doesn't have the level to be at Barca. I think we need to stop thinking about Nico because he couldn't cut it in Barca. He got loaned to Valencia hoping that he could get better. He couldn't cut it out there either. So Nico's definitely not Barca material. There's also the problem with his discipline. He likes to party a lot. And he has apparently a big ego where he constantly likes to fight with his teammates and his coach. So Nico coming back to the team is not happening. He's definitely on a chopping block, and he's definitely going to be sold this summer. Amrabat, I think, would be a great choice. But we'll see. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, reports in Uruguay say that Barcelona have signed Fabricio Diaz, which is the pivot from Uruguay. He's 20 years old. They say he is very, very good. Obviously, he's been signed for Barca Athletic. So we'll see how he performs. Hopefully, he can live up and becomes Busquets' replacement. But we definitely need a replacement for Busquets because we saw today what the team looks like without him. And that's just one match. Can you imagine a whole season without Busquets? We definitely need it. Okay, another thing I want to talk about besides the team's horrible performance is I want to talk about the offside rule a little bit because I really think that the offside rule needs to be looked at. It needs to be either improved or changed because some of these offside calls are getting a little bit out of hand, a little bit ridiculous. And what I'm talking about is the Lewandowski offside where his goal was canceled. I'm not saying his goal shouldn't have been canceled. It was correctly ruled out. And it was ruled out because I think it was like the tip of his shoulder was behind the offside line. Now, the current offside rule says if any part of your body that can touch the ball legally, so any part except your hands, your arms, is behind the offside line, then you're in offside position. That's the current rule. Again, Lewandowski's goal was disallowed because the tip of his shoulder was behind the offside line, and technically speaking, you can touch the ball with your shoulder. Now, we saw the same circumstance happen several weeks ago, but it was with Rafinha, where it was like the tip of his boot, like maybe half an inch of his boot was behind the offside line, so Barcelona's goal was outlawed. And this is why I think the offside rule should be changed. Again, I'm not saying that Lewandowski's goal should have counted. Under the rules today, he was offsides. The refs got it correctly. His goal was correctly ruled out. But the reason why I think that should be changed because when the offside rule was introduced, it was in order to prevent unfair advantages. Now, if you are sitting 3-4 feet behind the last defender, that's obviously an unfair advantage. So the offside rule, in that sense, it does accomplish that. It does level the playing field, and it does make the sport more fair. But when the tip of your boot or the tip of your shoulder is behind the offside line, what kind of advantage is that? It's not. It's not an advantage. You're right next to the last defender. You're both running at the same time to the ball. You both have the same chance and the same opportunity to get to the ball. And if you as a defender can't get to the ball first, then that's on you. That's your fault. You should have done something different. You should have ran better. The goal should not be canceled just because the other guy was faster than you. That's what sports is about. Athletes competing about who's faster, who's stronger. So I think canceling out a goal because an inch of your body or half an inch of your body is beside the offside line, I think is ridiculous. That's not doing anything for the sport as far as leveling the field. There's absolutely no advantage for a player having, his toenail behind the offside line. And I think the offside rule should definitely be looked at because some of these calls are getting a little bit ridiculous. Another thing I want to talk about was that Rayo Vallecano's fans were absolutely an embarrassment to this sport. You saw the field completely full of trash. The whole match, they're throwing papers, bottles, throwing trash onto their own field. I hope La Liga looks into this and fine them. I'm not saying that this had any effect on the match, not at all. Barcelona lost because they sucked, period. There's nothing around it. But I think as far as what it does to the sport, it definitely devalues the sport. We saw the match having to get stopped so they can, like 2 or 3 times so they can clean the field. Players can't get hurt when you're throwing debris on the field. And why the hell are you doing this to your own stadium? Like, why are you littering your own field? And when your own team is winning, like, how stupid are these people? I don't understand. Very embarrassing. I really hope La Liga looks into this and finds Rayo Vallecano. I think it's unacceptable that a fan base would act like that. But that's my opinion. Let's get back to the comment section. Then there's only one more thing I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, where did we leave off? Chuchu says, where are the clowns that said Ferran is better than Carrasco? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, but I don't think Carrasco is better than Ferran either. I think they're both just as bad, and I don't think Carrasco should come to Barcelona. I think Ferran should be offloaded and Carrasco should stay at Atleti. What I do agree with is that Ferran does have a higher ceiling than Carrasco. Remember, Ferran is only, I think, 22, 23. So he still has a little bit more margin to grow, to develop, where Carrasco is done, right? He's 29, he's 30, that's it. He's not only reached his prime, he's past his prime. Ferran still has more ceiling. So I wouldn't say he's better, but I wouldn't put him on the same pedestal, or I wouldn't say Carrasco is better either. Okay. Catan says, even Busquets play poor as single pivot. Nobody's closer to prime Busquets, not even Buzi himself. Right, but Busquets by himself is better than no Busquets at all. It is true that Busquets with Frankie is better because he has Frankie there to cover his back whenever he makes mistakes. But nonetheless, no Busquets is worse than a single Busquets making mistakes. And we saw that today. So again, for people who are always talking shit about Busquets, there you have it. Cintu says, why are our wingers are so wide? They play like fullbacks for me. Great question, and that's because our wingers cannot dribble to save their own lives. So Rafinha does not cut into the middle because he doesn't know how to. He can't dribble past the defender. When he sees a defender, he gets scared. He stops, immediately makes a back pass or a side pass. Ferran and Ansu, I mean, I don't know. Those guys, like, they're not even on the field to begin with. And that's why. Speaking of Rafinha, by the way, another bad match by him. But again, the whole team performed bad. And I mentioned this because last match against Atletico Madrid, he had a phenomenal match. And I said that I recognize that Rafinha had a phenomenal match. And I said the problem with Rafinha is that he cannot maintain that performance. You know, he'll give you a great match, but then he'll goes for 10. He'll give you another great match, and he goes for 10. And that's the problem, because to be a Barcelona player, you have to be able to maintain a high level through the majority of matches. Now, the funny thing is that after the Atletico Madrid match, all these people came out of the woodwork leaving me comments. Oh, Rafinha, you're a hater. Look, he proved he was the MVP. He silenced you. He humbled you. And I don't understand these people, because I don't want to see Rafinha perform bad. I want all the Barcelona players to perform great, because if they do, then the team performs great. And if the team performs great, they can win trophies. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Barcelona play well. I want to see Barcelona win, and see Barcelona win trophies. So I'm not here rooting for Rafinha not to play good. But what I don't understand about people is our society has become so polarized, where people are either team A or team B. You're either fully with Rafinha and I always support him, or I either hate Rafinha and I always hate him. And it's neither here nor there. If a player plays great, you got to admit and says, great job, he played great. But if he played bad, then you got to point it out and say bad. So all these people all of a sudden are like, see, Rafinha, like, what is wrong with you? If a player plays good, that's good. And if he doesn't, you still have to point it out. You can't just be like, I'm always going to support this player no matter what he does, or I'm always going to hate this player no matter what he does. That's a ridiculous way to go about life. You have to recognize when things are done right, but you also have to criticize when things are done bad. It's just how life works. But anyways, let's keep going. Nasser says, where is the project, the team going backwards? If you think that what we're doing is backwards, then you haven't been watching the last few seasons. Because if you're telling me Barcelona winning the Spanish Super Cup and are very close to winning La Liga is somehow worse than last season when we didn't win anything, I don't think you know how football works. Chuchu says, Balde, right back until the season is over. Again, same problem with having Kunde there. Can Balde perform in that position? Sure. Should he be put in that position? No, because you are sacrificing his skills. You know, that's not his best position. We need each player to play in the best position that they can play in. Just because they're good at other positions, that's not the answer. But I think for now, Kunde should stay in there just until we can get a proper right back. Okay, Let's see. Where did we leave off? This thing moved on me. Okay, Mark says, I don't think you can change the offside rule to be subjective. You can change it to be if it is advantage or not. It will just be like a handball. I agree. And again, I'm not saying this would be easy to change the offside rule. I think it's just something that can be looked at. Maybe a better system can be, or a better rule can be written. I don't know what the answer is. What would be better? I don't know, because then if we start getting into, how many inches of your body, then it gets a little murky. And then you're going to need, the actual technology to be able to measure how far your body is from the offside line, etc. I do agree. This is not an easy answer. It's very complicated, convoluted. But I think, again, the rule as it stands right now, it's not doing the sports any favor because, like I said, if the tip of your nose is past the offside line, that's not an advantage, But just a thought. Anyways, let's do a couple more comments and then we'll wrap it up. D-Horse says, Araujo is the most consistent player we've had all season, high-level footballer. Yes, I agree. Araujo is the most consistent, but again, he still had a horrible match today. I mean, Pedri's pretty consistent. He also had a horrible match today. It's just wasn't a good match all around. And Chuchu says, Mo is going off today. I am. I'm just angry about the team's performance. I'm very disappointed. So, which I guess, you know what, since I am going off already, I will touch on this. I didn't want to address it because I thought it was stupid and didn't merit my time. But I still address it because I keep seeing it. And I keep seeing people who want to blame Xabi for everything, saying that the reason the team is not doing well is because Xabi prefers Spanish players. Now, again, I didn't want to address this before because it's probably one of the most stupid comments I've ever read. But nonetheless, I will address it because, again, I keep seeing it. And saying that Xabi prefers Spanish players is stupid for two reasons. First of all, we're talking about FC Barcelona. It's a Spanish team playing in a Spanish league in the country of Spain. What do you expect you're going to see? Chinese players? Second of all, Xabi does not prefer Spanish players. More than half of the starting team are foreigners. Ter Stegen, the goalkeeper, he's German. Right back, Kunde, he's French. Center back, Araujo, he's Uruguayan. The other center back, Christensen, he's Danish. Left back, Alejandro Valde, yes, he is Spanish. He's actually also Dominican, but let's go with Spain because that is the country he plays for. Our midfield, Gabi, Pedri, Busquets, yes, they're all Spaniards, but then you have Frankie, who's Dutch. Our attacking line, Dembele is French, Lewandowski's Polish, Rafinha is Brazilian. So no, Xabi does not prefer Spanish players. More than half of the team are Spaniards. Foreigners. Are there Spanish players on the team? Of course, it's a Spanish freaking team. Would you say that Pep Guardiola prefers English players because there are English players in Manchester City? Of course not. That'd be a very, very stupid thing to say. So why would you say the same stupid thing about Xabi? Now, I don't know if our society as a whole, as our collective IQ is going down, or I don't know if we're just getting lazy, where we don't really want to critical think, or we don't want to reason. We don't want to sit down and see, hey, let's figure out why the team is not working, what needs to be done. And we got so lazy that it's just like, nah, you know what? Let's just make this simplistic, idiotic statement. It's because Xabi prefers Spanish players. Seriously, guys, is this the best you could come up with? I mean, come on. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody from commenting. I love to read you guys' comments. I always say it in my videos. The reason I started doing these live streams is because I love hearing from you guys. I think you guys always bring up really good points of views. And I love interacting with you guys. So again, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from commenting. The majority of you are amazing. It's just a very, very tiny minority who for some reason just sometimes come up with such stupid shit that I'm like, should I address this? Should I not waste my time? But since Chuchu says I'm going off today, I guess we'll end it that way. Let's do a couple more comments, then we'll end it. Again, today's live stream at 7 p.m. is obviously not going to happen. It's already 7 p.m. So I will make a news video right after this live stream ends. Today's been crazy with work and then having to watch the match and the post-match analysis. So I will make the video, the news video right after this live stream ends. I'll post it hopefully in a couple of hours. So stay tuned for that. So no live stream later tonight. The news will come. through a regular video. All right, so let's see. Mark says, saying that about Xavi is a crazy take. I know. I mean, come on. Are we that lazy where our only take is, wow, why did Barcelona perform bad? It's because Xavi prefers Spanish players. Jesus, if that's your take, my God, we're in trouble, guys. Lincoln says, calm down, don't let your pressure go too high. Thankfully, my blood pressure is healthy, so I'm good. But thank you for worrying. Firuz says it's absolutely because of Xavi, but not because he prefers Spanish players. But he doesn't have any clear ideas in attack. His tactics rely too much on individual qualities. There is some truth to that, but I wouldn't say he's the only reason is Xavi. Again, you saw the players. Araujo, he couldn't complete a single freaking long pass. He was shooting the ball like 10, 20 feet past his teammates. Is that Xavi's fault? Pedri couldn't, he was losing the ball left and right. Again, is that Xavi's fault? Gabi was all over the field just kicking people, not doing anything else. Again, is that Xavi's fault? Rafinha can't dribble past anyone. Is that Xavi's fault? Yes, is Xavi part to blame for this? Of course. He's still a novice coach. He still has a lot of experience, a lot of things to learn from, but this is not his sole fault. The team is not performing. Sintu says, is it true that Firmino's coming? Firmino's not coming. Barcelona cannot afford all the bonuses that he wants. Even though he is a free agent, he will be a free agent, and he would be signing for free. He wants all kinds of signing bonus for him and for his agent, and Barcelona just cannot afford that. Firmino, this is probably he's going to be his last big contract, so he's definitely looking to cash in, and Barcelona simply don't have the money for that. One more comment, and we'll wrap it up. All right. Eugene says, I don't trust Xavi anymore. He's not the best coach for Barca. Again, like I said a million times, it's not solely Xavi's problem. This is a new project with a new coach and new players. We need to give the whole team more time. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your comments. And thank you for those who will be watching the live stream later. Again, no live stream at 7:15 p.m. Instead, I will be bringing you a regular news video. So I'll see you in that video. And then tomorrow, back to the regular schedule. Again, thank you. Hopefully, we can wrap up this league title as soon as possible. Oh, by the way, Atletico Madrid, they defeated Mallorca 3-1. So now they've cut their lead between them and Real Madrid to 2 points. So that means Atletico Madrid can actually end up taking second spot with Madrid dropping the third. We'll see what happens, but this race is definitely heating up. So hopefully Barcelona can get their shit together. We can wrap up the title as soon as possible. Thank you guys again. I'll see you in the news video in a couple of hours. And despite this horrible and embarrassing performance, as always, Visca Barça.